Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of 410 Sports Talk. I'm James Haskell, along with my co-host, Glenn Martin. And we are here really excited to talk about all things Ravens, of course, all things position battles, player projections, and otherwise. But we're not going to be doing it alone. We're really excited to have a guest join us today, and Glenn's going to talk about that. I think you guys will really enjoy it as well. But Glenn, of course, before we get into our guest, who is it that makes this show possible today?
Yeah, this show is brought to us by BetOnline, which is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. Think you know your stuff? Get in on our $200,000 mega contest and pick 5 games against the spread every week for your chance at weekly prizes and a share of $200K. When the games are over, head on over to the online casino, get in the hand of blackjack, some poker, or unwind with over 150 slot games. Head to the website today, get in on the action, bet online, the game starts here. A new friend of the show, and hopefully someone we'll have on way more often. It's kind of crazy it's taken this long, but Coach Evans joining us from Sip2Tally. If you guys aren't following Sip2Tally on YouTube, you're just not doing things right. Make sure you go over there and hit the subscribe button. He will make you a smarter football fan. Coach, thank you so much for joining us. How you doing today?
I'm good. How about yourself?
Doing good, doing good. Wait, summer is not leaving. It's like we thought it was gone, and then it fought back and put out a 98 degree degree. I said, what the heck? But no, fall is right around the corner. Football is right around the corner. And, man, we're a week away from the Chiefs and the Ravens kicking the season off. So thanks again for joining us here, Coach. I do want to get to start with a bit of breaking news today and get your take on Tyler Huntley being released. Originally, I think 4 quarterbacks made the Cleveland Browns' initial 53-man roster with a lot of rumors swirling about what they would do with 2 of those quarterbacks. It looks like we got the answer on Huntley. He gets released today. Would you have any interest in bringing Tyler Huntley back to the Ravens?
Absolutely. Yeah. I knew that they were going to have to do something with one of those guys. I didn't know if it was going to be Jameis or Huntley, because I knew they wanted to keep DTR because of how young he was and the upside with DTR. And I was kind of expecting it to be Snoop in all along. And so in my mind, I was just waiting on them to pull the trigger. And I'm surprised that something hadn't happened all along because of the showing of Leary in the preseason. So in my eyes, hopefully it's a matter of time before he gets back on this practice squad and is that third quarterback. In my opinion.
Do you think there's any do you think he lost? I mean, obviously he lost with the whole fumble in the goal line and things like that. Do you think that's enough for them to say, I think we're good?
That could be an issue, but I mean, you just look at what Leary did this last preseason game, man. That was enough to make you Earl. But you got to get better than that, man. And for them, and in my opinion, I don't see how Leary got brought back over Emery.
Yeah.
To me, I don't see how you did that. Maybe it's stuff that they did in practice that we couldn't see. But if you just go off game tape, there's no way you bring Emery back over Leary. And with Snoop out there and some other guys out there as options, you got to kick the tires on it and at least see what's going on with Snoop, and at least make a call and see what's going on. And they may have done that already, but everything's G14 classified with this organization. So
100%.
I definitely would do it.
It's our favorite thing about the Ravens.
Yeah. The last team to announce their roster moves. 8:30 at night, they announced their roster moves. But hey, quick question about Leary before we move. Do you think that the only reason he's here is simply because he was drafted and Emery was undrafted? Is that it?
That's the only reason I can see. They don't want him because they spent draft capital on him. They don't want to just throw him away that fast. But we have in recent time cut draft guys, not a lot. But we have cut draft guys, and I thought he would be the next draft guy to be cut. But I guess they see something in him that we didn't, and they're gonna keep him around But
do you look at that as a negative? Like the Broncos this year, famously, they cut their 4th, 5th, and 6th round pick from this year because they said they weren't good enough to make this route. Do you look at that as like you know what? I respect that because you're not just hanging on to a guy because you may have made a mistake a couple months ago. You realize it now, cut it up. Do you respect the teams that can cut it off, or do you respect the Ravens who kind of give guys more of a leash when it comes to that?
I respect men in general that can admit, hey, I screwed up. Let's go another way. So and not, don't keep compounding and keep compounding and keep compounding. Hey, the draft's a crapshoot anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I mean, and I hate to beat a dead horse, but look at Tom Brady.
Yeah,
he was what 6, 7 round.
Mm-hmm.
Brock Purdy 7 round, the last pick of the draft. The draft's a crapshoot.
Yeah.
And how many busts have we seen in the first round?
Mm-hmm.
So it's the entire draft is a crapshoot. There's no one method to hitting the draft. So that when you mess up, admit it, move on, try to get it right.
You know what it makes me think of? It makes me think of, and I'm sure that both you guys can relate with this. Anytime you've been living at a place for a while and you have any place where you have storage and you just have something in there because you remember how much money it cost you, but that you'll never use it again. But in the back of your head, you're like, that was $2,000.
Yeah,
like,
I'd rather sit here and collect dust than get rid of it.
And it's like, dude, that was 15 years ago, bro. Like, what do we do? It just really makes me think of that.
You heard me, got me thinking about the storage full of stuff I got now.
But you know what I'm saying? I mean, we're all victims to that, right? Like we've all done that for sure. And so, but I agree with you. I 100% agree with you on that, Coach. It'll be really interesting to see, because to be honest with you, like Glenn and I were kind of talking about this a few, maybe last week. People talk about arm talent, and like arm talent is not just being able to throw a ball hard. In my definition of arm talent, like sure, he can show up, and shoot fish in a barrel with a shotgun. Okay, cool. Like that doesn't do anything in the NFL for you, in my opinion, right? Just because you can throw a ball fast and hard, but you can't hit water falling out of a boat, it just doesn't make sense. I just don't get it. So, but I have a question for you from a macro perspective. If you look at this Ravens team, I'm interested to get your answer here, because I see it going one of two ways that most people answer this question. If you look at this team and you look at both offensively and defensively, the position groups, is there a group that concerns you the most?
Offensive line.
So I was wondering if it was going to be offensive line or the edge position.
It's offensive line because there's so much uncertainty. But when you throw edge out there, and we don't talk about it as much, now that you have my thoughts wondering, there's just as much uncertainty at edge too, now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what we're going to get out the O's, and that's Oweh and Ojabo. Calvin Noah's a little older. Adisa Isaac has been hurt just as long as he's been drafted. Who else is over? I mean, Tavius is an unknown. Malik can play the run, but he's not really a pass rusher. We just right. Now that you threw that out there,
it's a tough one to answer.
But the thing with edge is our other defensive guys are so good. I think that they can make up for it because we create pressure with all the defensive schemes. And I was watching. He was on your show yesterday. The guy said we got so many 3 or 4 sacks from so many different other guys that the spotlight's not on edge so much.
Yeah,
because you got 2 or 3 sacks from slot corners and Kyle and here and there and
Patrick Queen.
Yeah, so the spotlight's not on the edge as much. So that's why I think we don't talk about the uncertainty at edge as much because the defense was so good. But
there was already a blueprint there, right? Like to do it by committee. There's already been a blueprint.
But on O-line, you need 5 guys, and you need them to learn each other. That's why to me it's been they've done them. Whoever the 5 is, they have not had the proper justice to the time to jail. 1 week is not, in my opinion, not enough time. They should have picked these guys after that second preseason game. Say, hey, y'all the 5, start figuring it out. Yesterday or today, whenever they started practicing, is not long enough to say, hey, you guys are the 5. Let's get ready for the Chiefs.
Yeah, that's scary. And of course, Linderbaum's injury only complicated all that, him missing a few weeks now. When we just talked about the fact that Chiefs are a week away, and I think that this offensive line is certainly – is it fair to say, Coach, that barring any health, massive injuries, is it fair to say that the offensive line is going to be its worst version week 1 and every week after, unless there's an injury, that they could get incrementally better throughout the season. So are the Chiefs facing the worst version of the offensive line maybe that we'll have all year?
I think so. Like you said, barring injury.
Yeah.
And I think that shifting tackle crap needs to stop ASAP. And I understand doing it early to figure out who's going to be the best. Mm-hmm. So I say game 1, maybe game 2. You're trying to figure out who's the better of the two in game situations, because in preseason they were playing against backups. Mm-hmm. I understand that. So you want to see who's going to be the best versus real guys. So I say 1, 2, maybe even 3 weeks, rotate them to see who's going to be better. But once you it's clear that this guy's better than that guy, let them 5 go so they can learn each other and then move forward going from there. So I do agree that the Chiefs are going to see the worst version of it. And somebody told me like the whoever they play at guard is going to be a crucial decision with Chris Jones. And I was like, it really don't matter whoever we put in that guard. They're gonna have their hands full with him.
All right, it's like
it's barbecue chicken, like Shaq says, right? Like
he one of them elite guys, so it's just some guys that don't really matter.
Yeah. It's like who's gonna put their finger over a fire hydrant?
Yeah.
Well, okay. You know what I'm saying? Like whoever wants to, go ahead. You know?
Can we put a 6th guy in there? Then it might matter.
Yeah, that might.
Right. Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Now, a wide receiver position is another one where some fans are going, "This ain't it. This ain't enough. What we have now." We're pretty confident in the young guys that we have. Of course, Bateman's kind of a wild card, and if he turns out to be a true number 2, then kind of watch out. But I look at top to bottom, like Tylan Wallace to me is a guy who I think his talent has been slept on. And when I said that, then somebody come back and said he's got like 67 total yards in his career in a regular season, which is not. It doesn't sound when you hit me with that, it's like, damn, all right, well, you got a point there. But am I wrong in saying that like I feel like Tylan Wallace is as solid as a 5th or 6th receiver as you'll find in the league? Am I wrong there, Coach?
Funny thing, you say this. We were talking on my show Monday night, and and everybody knows that I love James Prochet. And we were talking about James Prochet and Tylan Wallace. And the funny thing was James Prochet has been more productive in his career than Tylan Wallace, which is an absolute travesty because James Prochet literally has done next to nothing. Mm-hmm. And I'm a huge fan of Prochet, and I know he has done nothing, but for Tylan to be less productive than James is crazy. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it's lack of opportunity, but then you have to think about it. Why hasn't he gotten the opportunity? Are the guys in front of him that much better or what? And think about it. Bateman's in front of him. Zay's in front of him. Nelson Aguilar's in front of him. Is Tez Walker going to be in front of him?
Haven't seen nothing. And
we didn't even see Tez in the preseason.
Right.
He gonna mess around and let Dayton Wade come off the practice squad, get in front of him. Because Dayton in his little snaps looked electric. Mm-hmm. Even though Tylan had success in the preseason, but Dayton looked different with the ball in his hand. Mm-hmm. So we don't know. He hasn't looked like Oklahoma State Tylan Wallace since Oklahoma State. And that Oklahoma State guy was a different version of him. So I think, I don't know if it's the system or what, but I think he's a slot receiver but he don't have slot receiver skill set. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. He has the slot receiver body, but he just don't play like a slot receiver. And we already got a guy like that with Zay.
Yeah.
So you basically got 2 of the same guys, and Zay's more explosive than him.
Yeah.
And we don't throw it all over the place. And even if we did throw it all over the place, then you throw Isaiah Likely out there and in this place that you would put Tylan Wallace. He just caught up to me in a numbers situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're definitely, like Glenn said, we're definitely high on him. But that is a good point. James Prochet, who, like you said, has done just as much good as bad as he's been out there on the field in this struggle. I
think Tylan's most productive play was that punt return.
Oh, for sure. Game winner. Yeah, game winner.
Absolutely. But I do think that he does have sure hands. I think he seems to show he can, he's got some good hands. I think I don't know. I could be totally wrong. To your point in the slot, I think what he struggles with is Glenn talks about often, trying to play tag with Zay Flowers in a phone booth would be an impossible task, right? Like And I think that some of that quickness is what Tylen might be. Not saying his speed isn't there and his route running seems to be nice, but maybe the initial quickness might be something that he struggles with.
He don't have that short area quickness that Flowers has.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who does, from but to your point, I mean, just generally for that position.
Yeah.
Normally smaller guys have that quick twitch, and he don't seem to have it for a smaller guy. He's like Tylen Wallace seems like he's 6'3", 6'4".
Yeah.
But
it takes him a minute to get up to speed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure. Now I want to go back really quick and talk about the edge, because some people. So great interview yesterday, by the way, Glenn. I was listening to it while I was playing baseball with my son later on that evening, just because I'm a couple hours behind, and all my son does is play baseball now. So anyway, we were outside and I was listening to you and Luke, and he brought up a good point talking about how it gets done by committee. But is there a guy you see here, Coach, that you have confidence in that maybe others widely don't, that could have a breakout season in that edge rusher group?
Initially, I thought that was Tavius. Like before the preseason games, I thought Tavius would be the guy that would, hit us with a 7, 8, maybe even a 9 sack season. But then I watched the preseason games and I locked in on him because he was my pick to break out. I was like, let me check him out. I know, he's been working and fine tuning his moves. And then I watched the preseason games against backups. And I was like, yeah, man, he's not really doing much of anything. He's ballroom dancing with these backup tackles. And that didn't really, turn me on. So I was like, well, let me back up off my pick. And so now I'm thinking there's no edge guy that really going to wow me. Now, I think Odafe Oweh is going to do what we've been waiting on to do, because I think he was on the verge of doing that last year until he hurt his ankle. But as far as a guy that hadn't done anything, and I'm still in a wait and see pattern with Ojabo. I need to see him play games. If Ojabo plays 14 games, that's a breakout for me. He don't have to have a sack. But if he plays 14 games, that's a breakout for me for David Ojabo. Like if he play 14 games and have some pressures, that's breakout for Ojabo. But I think I will stick with Tavius, because I saw some good stuff. Tavius, to me, went from me not expecting him to touch the field to playing some significant role and significant minutes last year, and I was really impressed with him. So I think I won't give up on him. I'm gonna say Tavius, and he'll be the guy that'll come through with 7, 8 sacks at some point, even if they're schemed up sacks. He'll make it.
He's a high motor guy, right?
Yes.
Yeah, well, and I agree with you, Coach. Actually, we kind of did a version of that before the season. We probably did it halfway through preseason, or maybe right before.
No, I don't even think. I think it was before preseason. Yeah, you did pick Tavius.
I picked Tavius as well. I think the thing I noticed that I hope we see improvement on was I think he was a little bit bullish on his strength. Like he just seemed to be wanting to prove to himself that he could just bully the guys in front of him. And I wanted to see a little bit more finesse to his game. A little bit more moves, a little bit more loose hips, trying to get around guys instead of just simply trying to get through guys, right? Yeah. But you're absolutely right. I mean, the athleticism is there. You can see in his body he's taking things serious. He's making progress. So I'm excited for him as well. But I want to get into Odafe Oweh, because there's a lot of stake here.
Here we go.
Show, of course.
Oh yeah, we got a bet here, Coach.
I'm sure. I don't know if you've heard yet, but of course,
I found out yesterday.
Yeah. So there's a lot at stake, and we'd love to know your take. Of course,
no one's on my side, Coach. Everyone says I'm gonna be running. Dude, they said go away and get into double-digit sacks. Tell me something good, Coach.
So refresh me on the actual parameters.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the deal. The line is Odafe Oweh has to get 10 sacks. Okay. If he does, then so I'm a vegan. I haven't had any meat or animal products in about 4 years. So I have to eat a Wendy's Baconator.
If he gets 10 sacks.
But if he doesn't, Glenn, who
is lazy.
By his own admission, I did not say that, has to train for and run his best effort at a 5K.
Ooh. So if he gets 10 sacks, Glenn, you got to run.
No, if he doesn't.
If he doesn't get 10 sacks.
Yeah. Right, because Glenn is saying he will. So he's taking the over.
I think he will.
And now this is the only caveat, Coach.
If
he doesn't play 14 games, the bet is off. Because Glenn wanted a way out.
Okay. Now, come on.
So I think the most likely thing, to be honest, he's not going to play 14 games.
So this is, to be honest, I think that's a possibility. They're not playing 14 games.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think the bigger possibility is not getting the 10 sacks.
Golly, Coach, you're killing me. Everyone says this to me.
I do.
But, Coach, he had 5 last year, and he's going to get way more snaps, right? And he's how can he not run into 10?
Let me tell you why. This is what I think is going to happen. Because we have situational packages. Mm-hmm. Our run package is going to be Malik and Odafe Oweh. Mm-hmm. Our pass rush package, the way I see it setting up, is going to be Van Noy and Ojabo. Mm-hmm. And I don't think he's going to be. He'll get some pass rush opportunities, but if Ojabo comes through with his athleticism, like I know it's in his body, he just ain't put it on film yet. I think Ojabo and Kyle Van Noy will be the pass rush guys, and Malik and Oweh will be the run guys. And that's why I don't think he'll get to 10 sacks.
I'm going to need Oweh to play all 3 downs, Coach. He's going to have to play all 3 downs, Coach.
He has the body to. Point.
You know?
He has the body to.
And you know, it's interesting because Ojabo, who's the dude we had? Ngakoue? We had Ngakoue?
Yannick.
Yannick Ngakoue. Not that he's obviously done the same thing that Yannick has done in the league. I feel like they're the same type of pass rusher in that it's not like you don't want those guys out there and rushing plays.
Yannick
you just don't want
anything with the run.
No. But if he's healthy, right? But if he's healthy, like you said, he seems to have the moves and the athleticism, the quickness that you absolutely want him there on those other plays. And so it could push those 2 scenarios further apart in those units. So like, I didn't even think about that initially. I just thought he was not going to get there. But
I do say this: if James, if you lose, who is going to be painful?
Oh yeah,
you'll be hurting.
Painful.
Glenn is happy to hear that. Let me tell you what, though, if I win. Glenn's gonna be feeling it, but he's
it's one thing to train and run and you know to get your body in shape, but to not have meat and then have to eat a Baconator, that's gonna hurt.
Is that cruel a little bit? Like his punishment for me is just better health. Mine for him is a Baconator.
It's worth it, right? His will be over with by the week though. You're gonna have to train for a nice little minute depending on the shape.
So you think it's going to take a week to get that Baconator out of his system? Yeah. Damn, Jimbo.
Yeah, we're running. We're hoping for a sub 25 for old Glenn Meister over there.
That's right.
So
that's right. 8-minute miles, baby. 8-minute miles.
Let's go.
Hey, quickly, Coach. I'm curious about. I know you were excited like most of us. I mean, he's a Terp, so that certainly made me an instant fan. But the way Bo Braid played all preseason and camp was just. I mean, he forced his way onto this roster. I mean. I think we kind of all, being a Terp fan, I wasn't stunned by his tackling ability, but I don't care what anyone said. That was a daggone interception he picked up off the turf. And I don't know how that was overturned. That was insane. But to show off his hands plus the open field tackling ability, like, were you at all shocked it was because basically what it looked like it came down to was Bo Braid and Sanusi Kane over Pepe and Daryl Worley.
Right.
Were you shocked at all it went that direction when you consider what Pepe's done? He had a pretty decent camp, except for the last game he struggled. And then Worley kind of took over when Kocat retired a few years ago as the captain of special teams. Were you shocked it was Braid and Kane over Pepe and Worley?
I was not. When I did my prediction, I got 2 wrong. And one of them I knew I got wrong because I was hard-headed. I did not want Deontay Hardy on this team.
Same here. Yes.
Neither did I.
What has he shown other than his cap hit that'll be when they cut him?
And I took him off, but I knew they was gonna keep him. I got that one wrong. And I didn't put Kane on. That was the 2 I got wrong. But I was so excited. The last preseason game, which was a snooze fest, but when I saw Braid and Kane in at the same time, that was the highlight of the game for me because I knew it was going to be some hitting going on. And before I could even say it on my stream, they started popping people. But I think what kept Braid on, I did a video on Braid, and when I did some research, I saw all the different positions that he played. I was like, oh yeah, he's a Raven. He played the edge, he played in the box as a linebacker, he played slot corner, and he played outside corner, and he played the deep safety. I said, oh yeah, they're gonna keep him.
Damn. When
I did all that and saw that research, I said, yeah, they're gonna keep him. They're gonna keep him. And then he showed out on the field, and sure enough, they kept him. And Kane, like I said, I thought it was a wasted pick, but that cat, he slaps folks.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I felt like he made that team, Coach, on that one play. I've said this 1,000 times on the show, but that special teams play where, made the solo tackle on that guy. I felt like John Harbaugh right there just fell in love with him. It's like, yep.
I know you said you're a Turk fan. I'm gonna give you this little nugget. I'm sure he probably was Bo Braid's backup, but one of my former players is a Turk.
Okay.
Perry Fisher.
He
played quarterback for me his freshman year. He was my quarterback down here in Tallahassee.
Gotcha.
He's a safety now for Maryland.
Okay.
So I'm sure he was Braid's, probably one of Braid's backup. He's a safety now, so he's about 6'3", playing safety now. So yeah. I don't know if he'll start or how much. He may be a junior or a redshirt sophomore this year.
Okay, I'll keep an eye on
him.
him.
Look out for him. I think he's number 20. I think
number 20. Okay,
yeah.
I'll be rooting for him. No doubt. Yeah. Now, speaking of this secondary, we talked about the edge group, the uncertainty there, which, by the way, I find funny that we kind of described the uncertainty similarly to edge and offensive line. When the offensive line lost 3 starters, there's only one guy that left the edge group. I know he was important. He was a hell of a run defender and a pass rusher in one. But how much could the secondary help this rush group? Because to me, like you talk about, Braid, a bunch of positionless guys that can really play anywhere, can do a great job of disguising and confusing the opponents before the snap and then even after the snap. How much can this talented, how good is this secondary, and how much can they help the edge rush?
I think the scheme going to have to help the edge rush, because the edge rushers can make the DBs look better, but it's tough for the DBs to make the edge look better, because you can only cover for so long before receivers can get open in scramble drill. But and everybody say the front end and the back end have to work together, but that front end can make average DBs look good. Now, the greatest DBs can look like trash if the front end never gets home. If you give anybody 5, 6, 7 seconds to throw the ball, the average receiver is going to get open, because it's so hard. DB is one of the toughest things to play in the NFL with the way the rules set up, because the rules are set up for offense to win. Like, you blow on a receiver flag. So it's set up for the offense to win. So I think, and in the past, it used to be where they could work together, but now with the rules set up, it's tough. So I think the scheme has to help the front end out with the different exotic blitzes and stuff that we are starting to do. And everybody's a disciple of probably Mike now. Mike is the defensive guru, so that's Mike's tree is going to look like a Shanahan tree here soon, and that's why it's important to keep or close. Don't say his name too loud, because we spoke loud on Mike McDonald. You saw what happened. Don't say old name too
he's
loud.
He's a Raven, coach. He ain't going nowhere.
I hope not. But yeah. So the DBs what I think is going to happen is I think we're going to see more of Marlon in the slot. And I think we're going to see, and as much as I don't like the person, I love the football player. I think we're going to see some more All-Pro Marlon this year.
Oh, you don't like the person? Well, you gotta expand on that.
I just think.
Okay. All right.
I just think he's a corny dude. That's
okay.
They let corny.
That's
they
his
corny
shtick,
jokes.
Coach.
Yeah, they let corny jokes. That's all.
He's not feeling it. He's not.
His jokes be corny. That's all.
Yeah, I can see that.
But the football player is awesome.
Yeah. No, and it's funny because, man, it's like something about great minds just thinking alike. I don't know.
Here we go.
I look, Glenn, I mentioned the same thing. I'm just saying.
That's
by Marlon?
Yeah, everyone's saying he's ready to put him in the trash heap, but he's what, 28 or 29?
Something like that.
He's 28. Yeah.
28, and he is if you look at Marlon Humphrey as an athlete, he's a first-class athlete. I mean, this dude and he knows how to get in shape. He's a workout warrior. And so, look, he's still got plenty of time, plenty of tread on the tires to get himself healthy enough. If it's just about health, I'm not, you know what I mean? He's just going to get back, right? Like, that's really what it's about. So, I agree with you as well. I think Marlon has a big year this year. I'm looking forward to it.
Plus, I like him going back in the slot, dude. That's where he was super effective.
And he's got to make his bag, man.
Yeah, and with Nate, I guess Nate Wiggins and Stevens, they're the 2 outside corners starting day one. Okay.
Yep.
I like that. And then let's see what they do with their 18 safeties. Let's see how they mix those guys in and around. Holy smokes. Well, we didn't talk much yet about the offensive line, and I kind of want to get your overall take on just the trajectory you see with this offensive line. Like what when with Roger, do you look at him as a guy who has potential to it? Maybe not this year, but maybe in year 2, year 3, could play at like Pro Bowl level. Does he have that kind of potential? And then the same with like Voorhees. And then I got to get your take on right guard. I mean, Faalele, some people hate him, some people love him. So yeah, just kind of the overall sense on the offensive line.
Well, I'll start with Rosengartner. I think Rosengartner has all pro potential, mainly because of how well he passed pros as a rookie. His feet and hand placement as a rookie pass protector is second to none.
Wow.
I think his only flaw right now is run blocking, and that's because I simply think he's just not strong enough. But zone stuff he's good at because he can position block and get in front of people in zone schemes. He has an issue where when we run gap schemes and he's at the point of attack, he's just not strong enough to move guys. He can stalemate sometimes, but he just can't move guys like you need to when you run power and counter to his side. When you're running away from him, when he has a gap hinge, he can do that because of quickness, and he can run outside and inside zone where it's kind of like just getting in front of guys and shielding them and letting the back be a back. But in the offense, you can't just run all zone or all. You got to mix in some of the other stuff. Mm-hmm. So if they mix it in enough, he'll be fine. But when he does it, it's an issue. But his pass protection is awesome. It's awesome. Now, what is it going to look like when you go against some of those upper tier guys, TJ Watt, some of those guys? I don't know. I've seen it versus regular guys. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it's going to look like versus Watt.
Superman. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I'm sure it's not going to look as good. I'm sure.
Right.
But versus regular guys, it just looked very well. Okay. Looking at Voorhees. Voorhees has some technical flaws, but the kid hadn't played football real football in over a year. Mm-hmm. So I think with reps, all that stuff will start to get better. They have to get, unfortunately, they have to get used to the new guy. And he'll start to implement whatever he's learned over his 30 plus years, technique-wise, into the new guys. Mm-hmm. And they'll get better with each game, Voorhees and Rosengartner. He may see some things that he can help even the older guys with Ronnie, with Linderbaum. He made some hand placement, some foot stuff, some legs. Anything that he has learned, he may implement that and may help those guys out. Because anytime you get fresh eyes on them, they may see something that hadn't been seen in a while, and you can add to your game. And that stuff takes time. Let's talk about right guard, which is the conundrum. Like I said, I don't know what Ben Cleveland has done to these people, because every time I see him playing real games, he does okay. He does enough to say this guy should be playing. But then when at practice and when they have stuff that we can't see, reports come out that he's garbage. So I don't know. I feel like he should be the starting right guard. Now, for Faalele to be 6'8", 380 and can't run block, that's an issue. Normally, guys that big love run blocking and they hate pass blocking. He's the opposite. He's a decent pass blocker, but he can't hold a point run blocking, which is, to me, in 20 plus years, and I know it's just been on the high school level, that's backwards. Most big guys, most heavy guys love to lean on people in the run game. He's the opposite. But then when you get him in space, which we're doing a lot of outside and inside zone stuff, he can't even get to people in space. That's a whole nother situation. Like he can't get to, like we run outside zone, he can't get to people on the second level. He's just not fast enough. So I don't know how much of a problem that'll be, because if anybody knows what Tennessee did with Derrick Henry, it was outside zone left, outside zone right, play action off outside zone. So we gonna have to, if we gonna fit to what Derrick Henry was good at, outside zone is gonna be a big part of it. If Faalele can't get to second level in outside zone, which is gonna be a problem. Because most people saying you just throw Derrick Henry out there, he gonna fix part of it. No. Derrick Henry needs space to get going, and then he turns into that beast. Now you take the smaller guys like Justice Hill, Keaton, if he comes back, they can make people miss in the backfield, then do their thing. Henry needs a step or two to get that body going. Then he turns into this stiff arm nightmare. If you can tackle Derrick Henry in the backfield before he gets going, you can kind of slow him down. But if you let him get to that line of scrimmage or get in that secondary, then he turns into this nightmare that nobody wants to tackle. That's the key to getting Derrick Henry. Get him in the backfield. And if we got guys that can't get up to second level and can't get a head on a hat, then you put Derrick Henry at a disadvantage. Lamar's different. Lamar can shake you wherever. So yes, he'll be different, with back there. But they got to get a head on the head. And if he's getting beat right off the line of scrimmage, it's a problem.
Damn. Well, how much? A quick follow-up to that. How much better would you be feeling? I'm sure. I mean, overall about the team, I'm sure you have a pretty decent feeling that they're going to be at least a competitive team. But how much better would you be feeling if they still had Kevin Zeitler right now?
A whole heck of a lot better, because Zeitler would mentor Rosengarten, because he wouldn't have to worry about Linderbaum to his left. He could focus his attention, with Rosengarten and help him do whatever he needed to do. Then Ronnie would that same issue with Voorhees, because Linderbaum would hold down the middle. Then the two veteran guys could handle the two newbies, and then they would take care of themselves. So by week 5 or 6, we'd be rolling. That ain't the case. Whatever's on that right side is going to be new. And so Linderbaum can't, he can't hold down the whole right side and then Ronnie take the left side. The Linderbaum going to have new everything around him, the whole new right side and whatever's beside him on the left. Even if it is McCarr. McCarr ain't been a consistent starter. He's always been the 6th man. So if McCarry's the starter now, he ain't play snaps like that. So whatever goes out there is new. So it's basically we got 3 rookies starting. No matter who it is, it's 3 rookies. Even if it's Jones from Houston, it's 3 rookies.
So you got me. I've been really optimistic, trying to hold on to my optimism this whole season, or this whole offseason. But you're absolutely right. It's certainly a point of concern for everybody that is objective enough to realize that it's going to be an issue. But
now I say that, but I don't think the sky falling. I just think it's a point of concern.
Right. So
because nothing good happens if your offensive line doesn't play well, right? Like, isn't that 100%. The start of everything?
100%. They are the basis of your football team, period.
Yeah. No, I agree. Now, the only thing I'll say, I agree with you in that I don't think the sky's falling. I think it's a point of concern. And this is something I've been saying as well. And it could be for my own,
help you
benefit.
Sleep at night?
Yeah, my own mental health, right? Like, I'm providing therapy to myself here, but I do feel like the 5 guys that we have named as starters right now are physically capable and athletically capable. As far as the athletic traits that they need, I think they're there. I don't think there's a guy that's he's so physically or athletically limited that he just can't get the job done and we're stuck with this guy, at least from a standpoint of pure athleticism. There's some youth there. That gets me excited. Now, I'm still nervous about all the things you said.
Who the 5?
What'd you say?
Who's the 5?
Well, the 5 you just mentioned. I mean, I think it's Falele at right guard, Rosengarten at right tackle, and then Linderbaum, Voorhees, and Ronnie. And I think, relatively speaking, if these guys are just walking around the street and you're just comparing them to another set of 5, I think that's a pretty athletic group as a whole. I mean, Rosengarten is off the charts. Same thing with Linderbaum, and same thing with Ronnie already. Voorhees is ridiculously strong, and Falele is a former rugby player, so he certainly has some athleticism there. But do you see a world? Is there any chance that they come out in the first quarter of the season and surprise us?
Yes, that possibility is there because of 8.
Yeah,
because of 8.
That's fair.
Because of 8. Because you have to just put this in your mind. We come out in this pistol outside zone type stuff. Whoever the backside end is on any team, you can't just crash down and chase the run. Because if you do, and Lamar notice it, or Todd Monken notice it, and we start pulling it, coming out the back door, now we got all day with passes or bootlegs, which we haven't seen Lamar run bootlegs yet. Have not seen true bootlegs out of Lamar. So that's a +1 advantage that should help out. And then if you start bringing safeties down, Lamar can throw the ball, and he hasn't been allowed to just do what he did at Louisville throwing the ball yet. This is the 2nd year in the system, so he should have more control over it. He should be, his audibles at the line should be better. So the man got 2 MVPs, and we ain't seen the best of him yet.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
That's just wild.
8 could make everything that much better. Now we shouldn't put this much onus on him, but he's just that good. And I still don't think we've seen the best version of Lamar yet.
That's fair.
That's crazy, like you said, 2-time MVP. Let me switch sides, and I've ever since I've seen Trenton Simpson in this preseason, I'll be honest, I'm about to buy a jersey. I'm about to buy a jersey because look, Patrick Queen, he rubbed me the wrong way when he left by immediately trying to force himself into some villain role that just isn't him. I don't know why he tried to do this. He starts insulting the city and doing all kinds of just weird stuff when he's just not that guy. But I think that made me like and hope that Trenton Simpson could replace him and do so, admirably. But I think what he's shown thus far is he has at least a ceiling that could be as high or higher than what we've seen from Patrick Queen, and that he's bigger, faster, stronger, at least from the numbers. Now the question is, does he have it between the ears, and are the instincts there? But he looks good as a blitzer. He looked good in coverage. He looked good, stepping up and supporting against the run. Could he be, maybe not in year one, but what's the ceiling difference between Trenton Simpson and Patrick Queen?
Let's give the whole story from my point of view.
Okay.
That's another one of my guys.
Oh, okay.
PQ. So even when he did that villain thing, I wasn't bothered by it. Okay. I was bothered by where he signed. But that villain thing is who he is, and I know what he's trying to do. To me, I know what he's trying to do. That's himself trying to go ahead and flip that switch and not just to cut ties. Like, go ahead and okay, I ain't there no more. I can't be what I loved. And all the stuff that was good about Baltimore, I got to cut it off. And the best way to cut it off is to be this other guy. That's the way I took it. So I ain't taking no other kind of way of him trying to shade, even though the food is probably hard in Pittsburgh. All he got is ketchup over there.
Yeah.
But all that stuff he said, I just didn't take it no other way like a lot of people did. Now, the football part of it. A lot of people are trying to say, obviously, that Simpson is just as good or not better than him right now. Think about the situations. And I'm going to get to your question in just a second. When PQ came in, it was basically him at Mike, and he was not a Mike. And when he came in, he had only been playing linebacker for 4 years. He came to LSU as a running back. His last year at LSU, he wasn't even a starter. The starter was the dude that played in Cleveland.
Right?
They played in Cleveland that first year. So he took over the start that year they won the national championship. He wasn't started that year. But anyway, he came in playing Mike. And so he ended up didn't do very well, missing tackles, running around, doing a lot of wrong stuff. Then they brought in Uncle Bynes. He got a little better. Started his ascension to being pretty good. They brought in Rowe. He got even better with Rowe. Now, taking in Trent Simpson. Trent Simpson got drafted last year and got to watch 2 All-Pros. Got to see how they work. Got to learn from them. Got to see, how they went about their business. Now, his first year, he'll get to play with an All-Pro. Those are 2 totally different situations. So, Trent Simpson's trajectory should go faster than PQ's because the way he came in. Now, is he bigger, faster, stronger? Yes. And in Trenton at Clemson, his worst position was in the box. When he was with Venables, who's now the coach at Oklahoma, his best position was at edge and kind of playing like the Kyle Hamilton role. And then when Venables got the job at Oklahoma, they moved him strictly in the box, and he didn't look very good in the box. So he's still learning that position now. And keep in mind, all these snaps we saw Trenton play in the preseason, which some were good, some were bad because he was jumping in gaps and he shouldn't have been. But he was athletic enough to go make plays, go make tackles after that. He ain't played this position yet. He's playing role position.
Right.
So now he's going to play. He's going to play off the ball, and Rowe's going to have him where he needs to be. So I don't, I just didn't want people to say they expect him to be an all-pro year one.
Right.
It's going to take him a minute it may take him a year or two. And with his athletic ability and his role's going to make that kid work. I even think they vacationed together to try to get some chemistry. I think they did. That's cool. Give him next year. Also, maybe even next year, he may push Pro Bowl. And then after that, he may, because he's more athletic than Rowe too. Rowe chunky. Rowe just got it up here.
Mm-hmm.
Trent is a freaking athlete that he can run. His best ability is covering.
It's crazy.
The one thing he does have on PQ at this stage is tackle.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, as a linebacker, that's what you need. That's you may be wrong, you may be out of position, but if you can get people on the ground consistently in open, you good. And just people just don't expect him because you did. I mean, not you. I'm just saying in general, because they dislike PQ and him being, trying to be the villain and trying to do something that he ain't. Don't overly pressure Simpson to be his replacement. Just let Tim Simpson be Simpson. Let him be Batman. I'm gonna say be Robin to Rose Batman, and it's gonna come because eventually, I'm telling you, he's gonna take over for Rose and be one of them ones because of his athletic ability.
So that's his ceiling, all pro. Yeah. Eventually,
not now.
Of course.
Not now, because just look around the league. What other linebacker got those physical skills like Trent Simpson?
It's like Fred Warner.
Exactly.
Like, there ain't many.
Right
yeah, there ain't many.
That's the name I was looking for.
Yeah.
He runs around like Fred.
Yeah.
He runs around like Fred. He just he a little bit reckless right now.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Coach, I got a question for you. Who Glenn's got a little bit of bone to pick with this. Who you can be honest, it's okay. Who's better, Fred Warner or Roquan Smith? Who you want on your team? Fred.
That was quick.
Is it that easy of an answer for you?
I think Fred Cole's better than Rowe right now.
And that's what I was most excited watching Trenton, because a lot of these linebackers, that's their area of weakness. Like their area where they might have to get yanked off the field in a passing situation because they just can't stick with guys. I think that's what's most exciting, right? Like his ability to run with these guys.
And now I think, like, if I had to rank them, I wouldn't put Rowe 2. Rowe would be 1B or like something like that. So I wouldn't say Rowe was 2, but that I think it's Fred and Rowe, and then it's a significant drop off before you start listing other guys. Mm-hmm. That's where I feel about those two guys.
The reason we like, I mean, of course we're homers, but also because I don't know, Fred, is he the vocal guy? Because Rowe is just the heartbeat. Like he is in the building, in the meeting rooms. Like he's so much more than just what he is on the field. Like he just elevates everyone's expectations of themselves. Like does Fred have those? I don't know. Does he have the leadership qualities?
I'm going to say I don't know either, because and it's partly because we probably don't watch them like we watch our team.
Right.
So I don't watch their, like, whatever their wired is. I don't watch it. I don't follow them on social media. So I don't know. I just know the little bit that I do see and the little bit that I followed them the week we were playing them. Mm-hmm. The little clips, Fred was talking the stuff up. Just the national stuff. Fred talks. And he talks his stuff, and so I'm gonna assume that he probably is, but I don't follow him enough to go out and say he ain't as vocal as Rowe, like from what we see. So I don't know if anybody is. Yeah, yeah. Rowe's different, and, that means a lot. That means a lot. Yeah. So I would say
don't you feel like here, where like especially for Glenn and I, where the majority of our childhood and into young adulthood, like not only do you have a middle linebacker who's the best ever, but he's also the captain of the team. An absolute gladiator, motivational speaker. So like all that stuff is almost built into us as like prerequisites for the job. You know what I mean? Because that's all we saw for 17 years of our lives, right? And from the inception of the Ravens. And then you have a guy like Rowe come in and you're like, oh, this is very similar. Like
that's the closest. That's part of the problem with people with Queen. They expected that.
Right.
And everybody can't do that.
Right. But they at least expected CJ Mosley, maybe, and
he ain't that either. Right. Right. And honestly, we never should have even gotten Queen, because we never should have got rid of CJ. In my opinion.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. We love some CJ Mosley.
Yeah, dude is Velcro.
Yeah. If he touches you, you're down. You're going down. Just point blank. And he's still balling out now that he's healthy. He had some health issues when he first got to New York, but now he's back to being CJ Mosley, and he's got a pretty good running mate next to him as well.
Sure does. Quinn's little brother.
Yeah. I'm blanking on his name, but Quincy. Yeah, there it is, Quincy. Yep. Yeah, that dude. That you talk about the best tandems. They're right up there with the best. Last one I have for you is you talked a little bit about Derrick Henry, but we talk about how the effect that Lamar has on all the offensive linemen around him, how he causes pause, he causes hesitation, and how it benefits the guys in front of him. Does that pause and hesitation increase at all now that Derrick Henry's next to him? Does he have a similar effect that Lamar has in aiding the offensive line?
I think so. I think his effect is more so on the linebackers, because if you have to respect the play action. And so I think with Derrick Henry back there, it's going to create a bigger void on the second level. So you should be able to run more stuff behind the linebackers and get a wider or more open picture for crossing routes. So get your intermediate guys, Mark, Isaiah Likely should definitely have an opportunity to eat from 8 to 15 yards behind linebackers. Because you come out and you fake a stretch to Derrick Henry, you better respect it. Because the goal is to get him down before he gets started. So if you, as a linebacker, sit there and wait till he gets the ball and wait for him to pop open, you might get stiff on him to the shadow realm. So because you better get up in the line of scrimmage. And if you don't, you know what happens. So if you come up in the line of scrimmage and it's a fake, now look how much room you got to throw the ball, from 8 to 15 yards. And then so if the safeties come in and try to take that 8 to 15 yards, that's when the one guy that we haven't got to see in the play action can eat. And that's Tez Walker. Because he's the fastest guy we got. And that's why it didn't benefit Tez Walker in the preseason, because the only guy that we got that can throw the ball deep is Lamar. Tez Walker has one skill, and that's run fast. And we had nobody that can get him the ball. So that's one of the reasons why I don't think Tez Walker will his little bit of role will show up until the regular season, because his thing is go deep, and nobody could go deep because we didn't threaten anybody with the run. Now once we get to running the ball, then we start hitting them with the shallow stuff, and then they try to take the shallow stuff away. Well, you can get Tez Walker for 2 or 3 plays a game, maybe over the top, and all you got to do is catch 1 or 2, and okay, now you can go sit down. You good. You did your job for the day.
That's music to my ears, Coach. I love hearing that. Big chunk plays has been missing from this offense, man.
Yeah, 100%. Especially when they're not improvised. Like, we've gotten chunk plays, but certainly it's been off script. Lamar being Lamar.
Yeah,
and we still get those.
Oh yeah, they ain't going anywhere.
No, for sure. But like you said, the scripted chunk plays, we definitely need some of those. Most definitely. Well, Coach, look, it was awesome having you on the show. We're so grateful that you spent, took time out of your busy schedule to hang out with us. But why don't you let the folks know where they can find you, what you're working on? If they don't already know, they're probably living under a rock, but that's okay. To each his own.
On Twitter, I'm Coach Evans9. I'm tweeting all the time about football, Ravens football. I'm on YouTube, it's Sip2Tally, and I also have a second channel that deals with the other 31 teams. It's more Sip2Tally, but for the Ravens fans, it's Sip2Tally, and we into the film season. We'll be breaking down every game this year, checking out O-line, defense, anything that has to do with the outcome of the game. I'll be over there breaking it down.
Let's go. So go check it out. Like Glenn said, make yourself a smarter football player. We certainly will be doing the same. Go subscribe. Coach, that's it. Thank you so much, and have a great afternoon, my man.